Hey, I'm Brendon from Panic at the Disco. I'm hanging out with RockSound and doing a play-by-play of the tracks on my new record, Too Rare to Live, Too Rare to Die. And it's out, so go check it out. Girls, Girls, Boys. We actually wrote this one in New York at the same time as we were writing Nicotine. This one came about, Dallin had a bass part that I was really fond of, and he recorded it, and I started just producing around it. I had this bass part that I had him record for me, and started like just adding drums, and I found this synth, and we started talking about, love is not a choice was like the first initial theme of it, and just kind of, we both are familiar with girls that love girls and boys. Maybe not bisexual, but they have the term barsexual, where girls will just, kiss in bars when you have a few too many. And that, for whatever reason, was just like a sexy idea. And like, that's really cool. So yeah, it just came out of that idea of that story. Again, from personal experience, like knowing girls like that, and just being enthralled in that world, just so enthusiastic about that idea. It was just like, this is so cool, we should write this. And that came kind of together like to me it sounds like a Cure song in a way. Like there's a weird synth in the beginning that I think the Cure, it's very Cure-esque in my opinion. But yeah, that one, I think that's one of the more suggestive songs. It's pretty suggestive, pretty sexual. And the next one is Casual Affair. Yeah, Casual Affair I wrote as, that was actually one of the first ones. I think I wrote that after I'd written Girl That You Love in French. I wanted to write this. It's actually started from a drum point of view. I'm very beat oriented when I write songs. Being a drummer, I like to make sure the beat is something I would be excited about if I heard another band record it. And that goes with any instrument, but drums especially. Drums, I like. If a song has a good beat, I'm probably going to be into it. So that one, I kind of stole the idea from John Bonham with his Jamaica song. That kind of beat. So it started from that, and I was like, this kind of has like a sexy feel, and I tend to go minor when I have that kind of a groove, and I just went full out. And when I was writing it, it had this like delay. I put this delay effect in my voice to try to start from a different place, because I wasn't using a lot of effects on other songs except for maybe a couple others like This Is Gospel and maybe one other one. But I wrote it with an effect on the voice, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I like how there's a lot of space in it. So one of the first lyrics was, hey, a casual affair. And I was thinking back to just thinking about the fantasy of it all. Like, I've talked with my wife about that. Like, that's so interesting how even when you're with somebody, your mind still wanders. Like, there's always the fantasy. And me and my wife always talk about our celebrity crushes. Like, it's from the movie or the show Friends, how they have their top 5 celebrities that they would all, be okay with, like, them sleeping with or whatever if it ever happened. So we always list them off, and like it changes monthly. We're like, oh yeah, Jessica Alba. Oh yeah, Ryan Gosling or whatever. So respectively, we each share each other's stuff like that, and that's where it came from. It was like, living out the fantasy in your mind without actually going through with it. So it was coming from that place. This one's great, Far Too Young to Die. This actually came from an idea that Dallin had. It sounded completely different when he showed it to me. It was more like, he had a verse and a chorus that kind of sounded like, it was more in the vein of like Flaming Lips or like Guided by Voices or something like that. It was really cool. And I was like, man, would you mind if I worked with it for a little bit? And he we would send each other demos back and forth. So he sent me this one. And I was like, I really like this song a lot. Like, this is a great song. The lyric is strong. It's such a cool idea that like pulled me in immediately. Far Too Young to Die. I was like, that's brilliant. So I started working around it with production and started doing like a Casio incorporated beat, which I really kind of fell in love with. And Dallin was right there with me. Just like, I wanted to make sure that the collaboration was a good marriage of ideas, because he's brilliant with lyrics and with writing as well. So this one, it was a surprise when it came about, because I don't think I could have written this on my own at all. It was a really weird place to be in, switching ideas back and forth, but we ended up with this song that I didn't think we would ever write. It's such a cool, different vibe. Most of it's electronic through the whole song, and then at the end it just busts into this like big rock moment to finish it off, which I really like, to tie in the lyric of being Far Too Young to Die. Colorful. This one, Around the Time a Girl That You Love was like one of the first ones that we wrote for the record. And to me it has a vibe of like, I like to compare it to a-ha's Take On Me. It's like very 80s John Hughes film kind of sounding. And the idea of it, Colorful Chemistry, I liked how that sounded, talking about makeup on the collar. It was kind of in the same vein lyrically and thematically as Casual Affair. You know, you're caught in that moment like, oh shit, you know, I have covered with the blonde hair in my jeans and the lipstick on the collar. And just being infatuated with that world, living out a fantasy in your mind of this girl that you're chasing after. It was a very like pining and like yearning for kind of song. Yeah, I like it. It's pretty straightforward, but there's a lot of cool synth sounds that we were working with a lot that I really am happy that we incorporated into the song. When I wrote The End of All Things, it wasn't called that. It was called We're in Love. It was just a working title. I had written it, that was actually like the quickest I'd written a song. It was coming from a very honest place. I wrote it right before me and my wife were married. And we decided, you know, our wedding was really small. It was like 65 people, 60 people, really close friends, family. And we wanted the wedding to be just a celebration, just a party, basically. And we didn't want to do vows in public, we wanted to do it privately. So we did, and I wrote this song kind of as my promise to my wife of how I felt at the time, of how in love I was and how infatuated I was with her and my respect for our relationship and her herself. And I wanted to write my promise to her, how I saw our relationship going as we got older. I've always been a romantic at heart, and I love that I was able to get it across in this song. I started with, and another thing too was, with this song, one of my favorite songs of all time is the Cure Love Song, and I love that that song has the juxtaposition of these minor chords. It sounds like a sad song. The lyrics are, you know, I will always love you. You know, that's such a cool idea, to have such a yearning, beautiful lyric and a love song in this bed of chords that seems so dark and sad. And I like that a lot. So I use these really minor, sad sounding chords with this beautiful message of, you know, in these coming years, many things will change, but the way I feel will remain the same, which, you know, was kind of my promise. Like, you know, I'm not going to change the way I feel. If anything, it'll get better. So that's my sappy, my end of the song. And it came about as the last song on the record just because I wanted to end it. Usually, you know, we'd end a record with like a big blowout song, like being huge, and I think a lot of bands do, but I wanted to, you know, the juxtaposition of that, I wanted to go further with it and end it on a solemn note, kind of a somber note.